Chapter 4. Kurt Olson and Leo Kelly jog. Kurt Olson obeyed the 17-mile-per-hour speed limit at Lacey State Park. He was 20 minutes early for his scheduled 1 p.m. meeting with Leo Kelly, and his heart was already racing. They were scheduled for a trail run. They would run for a set distance on the hiking trail, and then when they reached a secluded spot, they would stop and discuss the successes and failures of Operation Mississippi Sizzling. Creeping into the visitor parking lot, Kurt Olson scanned the area. There it was, the amber Jaguar from the agency pool. Leo was already there. Kurt Olson had hoped that he would be able to beat Leo to the park, and he would be able to stretch and warm up and somehow prepare himself for the run that he so feared. Kurt Olson spotted Leo about 150 feet from the Jaguar, performing a double quadricep stretch. Leo was wearing blue Notre Dame shorts and a matching blue Notre Dame super cool thermal blazer. The popularity of thermal blazers, windbreakers that cooled the torso and arms, had become popular with the general public. This was viewed as a positive trend by law enforcement officers who could more easily conceal their weapons inconspicuously. Kurt Olson parked his Nugo away from the Jaguar in an act of pronounced deference. Per Leo's instructions, he had worn pocketless shorts and a pocketless t-shirt. He had applied a copious spatter of mosquito repellent. He hid his wallet and cell under his front seat and emerged with only his car key. Leo spotted his jogging partner as he approached, and he jumped out of a secretary's stretch and trotted directly to him. On the grassy lawn that separated the parking lot from the forest, Leo Kelly spouted out an order. "Keys, Olson." Kurt Olson handed Leo Kelly his only car key, and Leo studied it briefly and put it in the pocket of the thermal blazer and zipped it shut. He gave Kurt Olson a once-over glance, scanning for bulges that could be listening devices. In his left hand, he squeezed a rubber ball. The force of his squeezing applied enough energy to scramble and distort recording devices. In addition to the handheld scrambler, Leo's thermal blazer was equipped with a low-frequency radio detector. "Let's get moving, Olson," Leo grumbled in a tone that Kurt Olson knew that he wasn't pleased. Leo sprinted towards the nearby hiking trail with Olson waddling behind him. When they entered the woods, Leo ran in place to allow Olson to catch up with him. "We got a lot to talk about, Olson," Leo stated snidely. Kurt Olson was briefly distracted by the lay of the woods. He had grown up in the hills of Virginia, and his father was an avid outdoorsman. Kurt Olson knew how to read a forest. He could tell at a glance that the area bisected by the trail had never been settled, and it had been clear-cut between 150 and 200 years ago. The park had been overmanaged, and for decades the powers that be had treated fallen leaves and down limbs and brush as if those things were litter. The forest was now starting to regain its foundation. After about 200 yards, Kurt Olson knew he was in trouble. He had not run 2 steps since attending the federal law enforcement boot camp 5 years ago. Since then, he had put on 110 pounds, but he thought he could still jog at a slow pace. He was wrong. At about 150 yards into the forest, Kurt Olson came to a complete stop. He bent over and gasped desperately and made a scary rasping sound as he did. Leo stopped his trot and stared at Kurt Olson. His expression went from confusion to disgust in a matter of seconds. Breathing at a normal tennis pace, he approached Kurt Olson. "You okay?" Kurt Olson looked up and nodded at Leo and turned his focus back to the ground as he rested with his hands on his knees. "Sit down, Olson." Kurt Olson obeyed, and Leo continued. "I wanted to get over that hill before we talked business," Leo explained, "but I don't think anyone's listening." Kurt Olson nodded once more, and his breathing slowed a bit. "Listen to me," Leo continued. Today might be a good day to die. For you, anyway. Kurt Olson shot Leo a confused look, and Leo explained. Someone put kiddie porn on an ACLU lawyer's computer in Seattle. Someone put kiddie porn on a medical marijuana asshole's computer in Reno. Someone put kiddie porn on a nosy reporter's cell phone right outside the Beltway. Someone hit 35 of 36 targets. But the 36th was the only one that mattered. Operation Mississippi Sizzling was named in honor of Eclectic Party gubernatorial hopeful Eva Marie Taffy and her son Tony. Eva Marie Taffy had an excellent chance of winning the election, and if she did, she planned to pardon all criminals convicted of what she called victimless crimes. But the good people of Mississippi would never elect the mother of a pedophile. Kurt Olson nodded. Leo had withheld the significant fact that Tony Taffy was a computer security expert. His personal system was all but impenetrable, and he cleaned memory on all of his many storage devices several times a day. No one in the world could have cyber-framed this guy. Leo let Kurt Olson think that his crew had failed. You want to stay out of prison, don't you, Olson? Yes, sir, Kurt Olson replied without hesitation. Leo nodded. Then clear your schedule for the next 6 weeks. You're going to be driving that shit box down to Mississippi to correct the clusterfuck. Sir, my car will never make it that far. And Leo let loose with a string of profanity and then turned his head to the sky. God, of all the crooks who steal evidence, why did you let this one get caught? Kurt Olson felt his face grow flush with embarrassment. I'm sorry, sir, he muttered as he tried desperately to slow his gasping. I'm sorry. Leo Kelly eyed him up and down, and his face finally showed a trace of concern. Maybe it's better this way, Olson. I'll have to dig up a vehicle for you, but this way there'll be less a chance of anyone tracing the footprints back to you. Kurt Olson nodded. He kneeled for longer than Leo thought possible as he continued to wheeze and sputter. I want you to see this guy tomorrow, Leo Kelly said as he handed his gasping subordinate a card. Kurt Olson thought it might be a doctor's card, but turned out to be a lawyer who specialized in wills and trusts and burial plans. You can make the inevitable a little easier for your loved ones. With that, Leo Kelly helped Kurt Olson to his feet. The two men silently trod back from whence they came, Kurt Olson leaning on Leo Kelly for support. They stopped at the new goal. Leo Kelly made one more serious comment before departing. Maybe you should see your minister, Olson. Kurt Olson nodded and climbed into his car.